You know that feeling when someone shows up for you just when you need it most? That's what Uber is all about. Not just a ride or dinner at your door. It's how Uber helps you show up for the moments that matter. Because showing up can turn a tough day around or make a good one even better. Whatever it is, big or small, Uber is on the way. So you can be on yours. Uber, on our way.
Reality radio for a really great future. We're talking real money.
Another daily edition of Talking Real Money is underway. Hi, I'm Don McDonald. Thanks for listening. And today, once again, we are just getting through questions. I love this, that we're getting so many questions. And we've got a couple of phone questions we need to get to so they don't get too stale. And then at least one written question. Just depends on how long-winded both the question and my answer are. So we will get started. Oh, first, a couple of things. If you have questions, you can call them in to 855-935-TALK, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And don't be shy or embarrassed. We need your calls to help other people and help you. Or if you're really shy and you want to type it up, and that's just better for you, send your questions in through talkingrealmoney.com. Just go to the contact form. And if your question is really ponderous or you'd like some give and take, we have a standing offer for anybody to meet with one of our advisors. No, we're not going to manage your money, but we will meet with you for free without any pressure at all. Promise. So let's go to the phone. Somebody who called in at 855-935-TALK, 855-935-8255.
Hello, my name is Suzanne. So, okay, I am kind of intimidated to put a question out there because I am one of those people that has zero experience or background or familiar knowledge of all this stuff. But I am 50, recently divorced, recently as in 3 years ago. Have to right now make a decision what to do with the money that is going towards me from a Quadro, $47,000. I'm a low-income person. I've never had a 401k. I've been a job hopper my whole life. I've got 2 young kids, but I'm basically starting over. I see myself working for the next 20 or 30 or 40 years, but always most likely in the lower income line of work. Like, maybe if I'm lucky, I'll make $25,000 or $30,000 a year. So I just don't know what my options are that are best suited for me. I hear about a rollover IRA to put this Quadro in. I haven't set one up yet. Do I just do that through a bank? Is that the best option? I've also gotten this idea that you can set up your own account in his 401k provider or company or manager, and yet I don't know enough about whether that's the right decision. I did file bankruptcy once, like several decades ago, and I heard that IRAs are more vulnerable if you ever do file bankruptcy, whereas a 401k is safer. So it's overwhelming, and it's just overwhelming. I don't know. I just want a simple answer that is in my best interest as far as what to do with this $47,000. And regarding the distribution, I've got to make a decision and give them some instructions on where to put this money. That's my question. Thanks.
Suzanne, thanks for the call. And let's see what we can do to at least get you on a slightly better track for the future. One of the things I noticed was the fact that you mentioned you don't believe you'll ever make more than that $25,000 to $30,000 a year. And this is why it's kind of problematic not to have interaction, but you're just 50. You have kids. I understand how trying that can be, particularly at a low income. But you really should consider working on some skill set that will help you get a better job during the times, maybe when they're sleeping, down the road, because that's really going to be your ultimate saving grace. But in the interim, as you know, you've got to keep your costs ridiculously low. I'm sure you're used to doing that. You really need to avoid filing for bankruptcy again. That means no credit. No credit. If you can't afford it, you don't get it. Forget about it. You don't need it. You really should probably have 3 to 6 months of emergency funds so you don't have to rely on credit. That's something you should strive to do. Maybe you'd be a good candidate for something like Acorns, which rounds up purchases. So when you buy $3.50 worth of something, they charge $4 and they put 50 cents into your account to kind of slowly build that up. But let's go to the $47,000 first, that QDBO. And for those of you who don't know, that's a qualified disbursement order in a divorce, which allows a divorced spouse to get the other spouse's retirement benefits and keep them protected so that nobody has to pay taxes on them. So, but a QDRO, QDRO, not QDBO. Can't even read my own writing. You do have to roll those over into an IRA. You don't want to go to a bank, Suzanne. Do not go to a bank. You want to make absolutely nothing on your money. That's the perfect way to do it. Don't go to a bank. Don't go to a broker. I know it's overwhelming. That's why I'm going to make it really, really, really easy for you. You are 50 years old. You need to take a little bit of risk with your money, but your life has been constant risk. But I'd be remiss if I didn't suggest that you go to talkingrealmoney.com and take the risk quiz to determine just how much. From that, you're going to get a portfolio allocation, and it's so simple. You go to Vanguard, you set up an IRA account. You have this money transferred into that IRA account, and then you divide it up between the two funds that we have listed at talkingrealmoney.com, our two-fund solution. The two funds, really simple, are the Vanguard Total World Stock Index for the riskier portion, for the stock portion, and the other one is Vanguard Total Bond Index for the fixed income portion, the safer portion, the thing that's going to act like a ballast. You put those together. You leave them alone except to rebalance every year. So, for example, let's say your allocation is 60% stocks and 40% bonds, and the stock market does like it did last year and goes way up. Well, go back and sell some of the stocks and move those dollars over into the bonds to maintain that 60-40 split. It's easy. It can be done online. Your money stays your money because if you go to a stockbroker, they're going to suck out 5% just like that. Can you afford to lose $23.50? Of course not. Actually, it could be higher than that. That's what I do. And remember, we're here. If you have some questions, give us a call, 855-935-TALK. And don't worry about the bankruptcy thing because you're not going to do it, right? Okay. 855-935-TALK, 855-935-8255. And now we're going to take a question that was written in. And this is from Buffalo, New York. Dear Tom, and probably more likely Don. First of all, greetings from Buffalo, New York. I love your show. I've listened to all of the podcasts dating back as far as podcasts go. As one of your younger listeners, I assume at 33, yeah, you are, as you always discuss your listener mix, I don't have a ton invested yet. I started kind of late. That's not late. 33 is not late. Don't worry. You mentioned on your podcast 27-2020 about some Fidelity funds. You recommended Fidelity Total Market Index Fund. I believe it to be FSKAX. Yes, I did. FTIHX, Fidelity Total International Index Fund. Look at how good you are with the registered trademarks on your note. And finally, FUAMX, Fidelity Intermediate Treasury Bond Index. I currently own FSKAX, so no question here. If I was correct, you're correct. FSPSX, Fidelity International Index Fund, and FTBFX, Fidelity Total Bond Index. Can you talk about the differences between these? Curious if you would recommend switching these to closer align to your recommendations. Thanks for what you guys do. It is awesome. And this is the part I like best. I've been waiting the whole note for this part of the note. And you give great ammo for trolling the Dave Ramsey Facebook groups, as I'm fond of doing during the evenings. Eric, go get him, man. Go. Just keep pounding on him. I'm sorry, Dave. Sorry, Dave. I know you're like super famous, Dave. And I know you're like on 43,000 stations around the country. And you're like, your little class is being taught at all of the churches. But Dave, when it comes to investing advice, you are really bad at it. Bad at it. You send people to stockbrokers who make 5 3/4% commissions off the money, Dave. And then you tell them they can get 12% per year on average. I don't know what planet you've been living on, but that ain't happening. Not in my world. Now, you might get it sometimes, but keep it up. I'm so happy. Anyway, let me tell you the differences. You've already got the total market index fund. Perfect. That's great. Leave that one alone. The difference between the total international index fund and the total the Fidelity International Index Fund is one of diversification. Their fee structures are so close as to be almost no different. But the difference is between less than 1,000 stocks in the fund you have, the International Index, and let me just double check. I want to make sure I'm right about this number, but I think it's about 5,000 stocks in the Fidelity Total International Index. And we believe more diversification is better. It's better. Between those two funds, the equity fund and the international fund, you're going to own about 10,000 different stocks. Do you know what it's going to take for you to lose your entire portfolio? The whole planet blowing up. And as for the bond funds, I really do not like the Fidelity Total Bond Fund. I just don't like it at all. The Total Bond Index Fund has really high expenses. And I just had them up on the screen and then I moved them. So let me bring it back up again. Whereas your expenses are in the hundredths of a percent on those stock funds. On the Fidelity Total Bond Fund, and it's not really an index, it's actively managed, the expenses are 0.45 on FTBFX. That's 0.5%. When bonds are yielding 2 and they're taking out half, you know what they have to do to be competitive? Stretch for yield. What does stretch for yield mean? Take on more risk. You don't want risk in your bonds. Your bonds are ballast, as I said before. They're not an income generator, although the income helps save you in a downturn for stocks. But they're meant to be stable. And lower quality bonds, as are in the Fidelity Total Bond Fund, as a matter of fact, 30% or so is triple B or lower. That's not very good stuff. So I would make changes. I really would. I would swap for the international for the FTIHX and the bonds for the FUAMX. The yields are going to be on the intermediate treasury. The yield's going to be a little lower, but the degree of safety dramatically higher. Dramatically. 855-935-TALK. That is a phone number you can use to call and get your questions answered here on the podcast or live on the show when we do it on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. You can also send questions in at talkingrealmoney.com, the website. Use the contact form. And now we're going to take another telephone call.
Hi, Don. My name is Carol. I'm almost 83 years old, and I have got I'm a widow. I've been a widow for 7 years. Anyway, I wonder how to use my money correctly in the future. I own a home that's probably worth about $525,000. It's totally paid off. I've got an IRA. My husband's old IRA and mine together are approximately $109,000. 109,000, and I've got a trust, an AB trust, that's now just in my name, or I'm the trustee, and it's about 220,000 at this time. I take a withdrawal every month from that to live on, to add to my Social Security, and a small pension that I have. Anyway, I'm wondering if I should. By the way, the assets are in the portfolio account. I've got an account with the management company, and it is there's U.S. equities about a third, and taxable fixed income is about half, and various other things, other assets and cash. And in the trust, that's the trust, pardon me. In the IRA, I've got probably the same, half of it's in taxable fixed incomes, and then others, U.S. equities and some international equities. And so anyway, I'm thinking that maybe I would be better off to cash out some of this stuff. I know I can't on well, anyway, I'm not quite sure where I can as far as the IRAs, but I'm wondering if I would be right to cash out some of the trust money and put it in like where I get money every single month, and then just use it up, or have it, spend it as I can. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you so much for calling, Carol. I do appreciate it. Thanks for the question. Good. You got a home that's paid for, although at 83, you may, with interest rates as low as they are, if you needed a little extra money in your pocket, you might consider taking out a mortgage and investing it. But I'm not going to go there. Let's just skip that for now. Totally skip that. You've got the IRA with $109,000 in it. I'm guessing you're taking required minimum distributions. You pretty much have to. And then we've got the trust with $220,000 in it. And your basic question is, should you get an immediate annuity that's going to pay you on that money a set income for the rest of your life, and then there's nothing left at the end? That's how an immediate annuity works. You're betting with the insurance company. They're betting you die sooner. You're betting you die later. They're usually pretty good about figuring this out to turn a profit for themselves. I don't have a big issue with the immediate annuities. I would certainly shop around if you're going to get one. And really, you only need one for single life expectancy, just yours. But if you're pulling out your required minimum distribution, that should be right around $7,000 this year at your age. And then if you take that and you take from your $220,000, say 5% per year, which we think is doable on a flexible withdrawal strategy, one where you are comfortable taking out a little less if the market goes down, take a little more if the market goes up. You're looking at about $1,500 a month that you can take from your portfolio without running out of money. I just don't know how you could do that. So if that's going to do it for you, along with your small pension and Social Security, if $1,500 additional is going to do it, you got no reason, none whatsoever, to go out and buy an annuity. However, from what you say about your portfolio mix, I'm kind of concerned about the advice you've been getting, or your husband was getting before. I'm pretty sure you're dealing with some hodgepodge portfolio created by some stockbroker somewhere, and it sounds to me like you may be a little heavy in stocks, maybe. I'm not saying that someone who's 83 shouldn't be 40% in stocks, but in most cases, that's too much. Just generally. I'd go take the risk quiz at talkingrealmoney.com. I'd see where that throws you, what kind of an application, and then I'd be sorely tempted to take that IRA, roll it over to somebody like Vanguard, and just get the two funds, the Total World Stock Index Fund and the Total Bond Index, and get rid of all that other stuff you mentioned, and do the same then with the trust, of trying to avoid some capital gains, doing some tax planning possibly, but I don't think you should cause yourself much of a problem with the capital gains. You probably have paid taxes on most of those, again, depending on what kind of a portfolio you have. But an annuity, I don't know. It's hard to say without knowing what your income needs are. But I think you sound like you're in pretty darn good shape. Carol, thanks for the call. And don't be shy. It's okay. No one knows who you are. And it does help others to hear your questions. And that's why I would like to encourage you to call us at 855-935-TALK, 855-935-8255. You can call anytime. But leave all the pertinent information. If I don't think it's pertinent, as I did with some of the stuff, I'll cut it out. Don't worry. And I won't leave your personal stuff in there, except your name. So I will edit, I promise. And also, for those of you who are really shy or just like typing stuff up, go to talkingrealmoney.com, hit the contact form, send us questions that way, and go visit talkingrealmoney.com for great videos and lots of other stuff. It's really a good resource for you. And also, please tell others about the podcast. That's the way we grow it. We're hoping to get to that critical mass someday where Talking Real Money shows up in the top 50 podcasts on Apple Podcasts, so we can push out some of those con artists who I don't know how they manage to rank so highly, but they do. And, I'd like to be up there pushing Dave Ramsey just a little, just nudging him. So help if you can. Subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon. I'm Don McDonald.
Talking Real Money.
We hope you realize that the information provided on Talking Real Money is for educational and hopefully enjoyable purposes only.
Providing personalized financial planning or investing advice takes time, so please consult with a really good fee-only fiduciary investment, tax, or legal advisor. We know a good one. Investing must always involve risk. In other words, you can and probably will lose money at times.
Also, as much as you want it, no one can accurately, consistently predict the future.
So past performance doesn't tell you a darn thing about what the future will bring.
Unlike many other programs that say something similar, Talking Real Money is not trying to get you to buy or sell any financial products or securities.
Instead, the program is provided as a public service by Vestry, a fee-only registered investment advisor.
Thanks for listening, and please visit talkingrealmoney.com for more information and disclosures.
That should keep the lawyers happy.